game that was developed by Studio Koba, making it their debut game and published through Team 17. It was crowdfunded in 2017 and obviously reached its goal. Because of this, the world was able to play this beautiful masterpiece of a game, including me. Today I'll be rocking out with the PlayStation 4 version, so let's get into it. So, Narita Boy is about this kid who gets transported into this digital world in hopes of restoring the creator's memories. Seeing that the creator, or the person that programmed this whole entire digital world, gets knocked out, these AI sentient and self-aware programs activate something called the Narita Protocol, which is kinda like a failsafe to contact whoever I guess is the best person to help save this world. And that would be no other than this game protagonist, aka the player, now dubbed Narita Boy. Obviously, you can easily draw the parallels to an iconic movie which was a groundbreaking masterpiece that came out in the 80s. But anyway, while inside the digital world, you discover that there are actually 3 kingdoms that dominate this land. Each kingdom differentiate themselves by the colors that they carry, which is used to display their individual unique attributes to their respective kingdoms or tribes, and even down to their culture. The 3 different kingdoms are yellow, blue, and red, with red being this game's fire kingdom. Now if you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, you will kinda understand that reference. But if not, one kingdom got a tad bit gritty and just decided, probably out of self-righteous arrogance, that ruling their own kingdom isn't enough and dominating other kingdoms out of some manifest destiny is okay. Essentially, the Red Kingdom was expanding their imperialistic rule forcefully against any other kingdom that opposes them. This particular problematic Red Kingdom is ruled by a figure known as Him, which serves as the antagonist of this game. Him also has his very own set of underlings or generals known as Stallions that helps enforces his will in other kingdoms that Narita Boy pretty much has to go out and get rid of. Other than the obvious troublemakers, each kingdom views their creator or their programmer as God, which is not surprising. And without his memories and knowledge, Him is able to run around causing havoc unchecked. So, the 2 primary missions of the hero is to 1. Save the kingdoms from the tyranny caused from him, and regain the memories of the creator. So, in all of its retro 80s glory, Narita Boy obviously looked like it can easily come from one of those Tron adaptations. Bright neon colors depict the digital world and its inhabitants with their seemingly unique cultures. When I first got into this game and started seeing these programs, yeah, I'm gonna start calling them programs, these humanoid denizens with elongated monitors as head, looking like BMO from Adventure Time, maintain this fundamental design but just presented in different ways. There are gonna be some programs that's presented within a humanoid form, animal forms, and other forms that are just based off of mythical creatures. And don't let me get started on the various types of enemies that you'll find within this game, cause their designs are just unique and various. For example, when I got to this part of the game, I thought I'd seen every enemy that this game has to offer. Then I remember laughing when I started just seeing bigger versions of them, as if Rita Repulsa was like, "Make my monster grow!" And also, speaking of Power Rangers, as the player ventures deeper into the various kingdoms, you kinda see how this world digitally emulates nature in its own way via the environments, landscapes, and also the entities that dwell there. I remember one kingdom was nothing but water, another where it was just like a jungle, another was a desert wasteland, and another that was just simply a futuristic dystopian metropolis. Oh yeah, and get used to seeing this symbol. I don't think the player will go 7 seconds without seeing the iteration of this sign being plastered on something in your proximity. This symbol actually has a meaning behind it, but you find out about that later on in the game, alongside the Red Kingdom symbol and what that represents. One of the things that Narita Boy does and does well is conveying emotional and important plot details through its pixel visuals. Examples can definitely be seen within the memory segments. There are also some creepy imagery that gave me the feeling of a psychological or philosophical message that feels tucked away in the midst of everything. I've never felt this so much more than within the parts when you're about to enter the memories. Here you'll see the representation of a mature human being going through its stages of development. And it's at this point where I start thinking about something. I mean, there's a digital world, human beings interacting with it, and even the fact that a person has to enter into this realm just to find out more about somebody through their memories. Many times this began to sound like another one of my favorite properties I consider one of the greatest of all time. But overall, the presentation of this game is perfect and well done. I can see just through the animations, backgrounds, and again, the various enemy types that a whole lot of work and a whole lot of love was put into this. I would look at Narita Boy as an action platformer Metroidvania-esque type of game that is broken down into 5 segments or areas you're going to be journeying through. These areas will consist of the place where you start the game off at, the 3 kingdoms, and the last area that you got to get to. The player is going to be fighting off enemies and moving from one place to the next. Not to mention that there are elements that are thrown into the mix that most Metroidvania games possesses, which are puzzles, fetch quests, and of course backtracking. And you are going to be doing quite a bit of those, but not to the degree where it's on an unbearable level or make this game become a chore to play. So the controls of Narita Boy is very quite simple. You move primarily left or right, can jump, and once you get the The game officially begins and you're off beating the crap out of any programs that stand in your way. Other than slashing, the techno sword can also be used as a shotgun at range. The ammo regenerates itself over time, which is shown here, and when you reach full capacity, you can pull off a powerful, somewhat
Proton cannon!
but from your face. Your health and how much damage you can take is located here, and once it's all gone, you get a
resting force.
But thankfully, you do not restart far from where you die, and you have infinite tries. For the most part, these are just the basic mechanics, but obviously as you get deeper into the game, you acquire more techniques. You gotta be mindful, some of the things that you do, you can only do because you have access to a specific area, or it's due to a specific sequence within the story. Now that we got the controls out of the way, this is what you're actually gonna be doing. Or in other words, this is the game loop. You're gonna be talking to programs that will stack up your list of things to do. Next, you'll be able to find objects in the form of floppy disks that will be used to open doors that you didn't have access to before. Solve these monoliths by looking for the glyphs hidden in plain sight and inputting the corresponding shape with their respective colors into these monoliths. Obtain some sort of power up, find out more about the creator's backstory via his memory segments, and of course, fight a boss or two. You can do this for one area and then repeat these interchangeable tendencies again in a different kingdom. Now, on to those specific segments that I was talking about. These unique story parts will provide exclusive abilities to Narita Boy that won't be used outside of these moments. These things occur throughout the game and does a good job of making things a whole lot interesting and keeps the player more engaged. For example, there was a point where I became a robot deer, and then there was another time where I combined with this horse in order to become like a Power Rangers Megazord type of thing to fight this one big boss. Speaking of boss fights, Narita Boy remarkably has quite a number of them. I died a few times myself until I learned the proper movements to execute. Along with the gameplay loop that I stated before, each different color kingdom will give Narita Boy a technique to use that will add more complexity to how you will approach various enemies that you'll encounter. And that is all thanks to the use of color coordination. You see, when you first start this game, you could just whack away at an enemy until they died. But as you progress in the story, you'll see these little crown things up on top of the enemy's heads that will indicate which color power will be incentivized to use to efficiently destroy them quickly. Kinda like what that DMC reboot did before they came out with the proper version. So with this in addition to all the game mechanics as far as combat goes, you have a couple of options to pick from. Now when it comes down to engaging with the enemy, you could 1. Don't use any power-ups, therefore making it tedious, not to mention longer to get rid of them. 2. Use your power-up that's the same color as what's indicated by the enemy. This will make you stronger but make the enemy hit harder as well. Or you can 3. Summon the somewhat guardian of the kingdom that for the most part will destroy or damage everything that's on the screen, especially those enemies that share the same color indication as the attack. But it's all up to the player to determine which is the best course of action. But best believe there are going to be waves of enemies that's going to be coming for you. Now, there are 2 critiques that I saw when playing this game. The first critique has to do with the sometime anti-gravity jump that would take some time to master for a moment. Some of these levels will require your jump to be precise. Fighting against your character's tendency of floating over your intended landing would probably occur often when you initially play Narita Boy. The second critique is on this part in particular. At one point in time, I saw people complaining about how this stage was potentially the thing that made people want to cease playing this game, saying how it appears that the player will die via hits by the enemies due to the fact that you have a limited window of defending yourself as you dodge and duck spikes in enemy programs. I was about to be one of them as well, until I realized that instead of just pushing a button to allow the 4-legged monster to have a speed boost, it's best that you push and hold that button down to keep running. This simple solution allowed me to continue with my gaming experience. As far as the helpful hints, 1. You can climb ledges, just look for them. And 2. This rise and slash has multiple purposes other than combat. You're going to be needing it for platforming reasons too. Overall, the gameplay for Narita Boy is really good. The music of Narita Boy was done by one Salvinsky, a music composer who has done works for other properties as well. In this game, he obviously brings that retro electronic synthwave genre that would make Daft Punk blush.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
The funk that is provided on some of these songs, like the main menu screen, pretty much sets the tone in what you can grasp and expect from this game. It may sound cheesy because of the lyrics of the song, though extremely simplistic actually tells you what this game is about. The songs on this game OST can go from upbeat to slower songs for the moment in this game where the music reflects the type of situation the main character is in or the environment that is being explored. A good example would be this innocent and somber tune that plays during the moments of exploring the creator's memories. Given the various revelations you discover, let's just say that playing a happy tune in these moments was come off a tad bit comedic, out of place, or just downright disturbing. One of my favorite tunes, however, is when this animation plays whenever the player enters a new domain or when the player returns from the main menu. This game's original soundtrack is now available on multiple platforms. I will provide links below in the description where you can pick up a copy for yourself, or just give it a listen. Also, I will provide links where you can check out more of Sarvinsky's works. Speaking of Sarvinsky, did I also mention that he's responsible for the... This game sounds very good. The detailed sound work within the shotgun blast coming from your sword, the crippling sound of fire burning, and the various types of electronic generating bites are going to be heard throughout your playthrough. One of the things that this game does that sounds epic is the voice work of whoever announces the power-ups you get. This never gets old to me. However, the first time I did experience the announcer's voice, it kind of scared the crap out of me because it was late at night and I forgot that the volume was all the way turned up. But other than that, the environmental objects emulating the appropriate sound for each terrain that this game offers was done quite well. Along with hearing the sound of your attacks whenever your sword swings, and hearing some of the enemies either when they are yelling or when they just make these creepy sound effects. One of the hints that I actually offer the viewer to take heed to when playing this game is that paying attention to the sound effects of your enemies will actually give you cues and how to proceed next. For any retro gamer that's out there, Narita Boy is a necessity to have within your collection of games. The visuals are on point as far as emulating the late 80s digital aesthetic. Some of the topics that this game hits on, especially within the memory sequences, to my surprise share some mature and adult themes, essentially showing how harsh life can be to one person within their upbringing. Getting to know the creator through these memories allows the viewer to understand how he came to be. Many moments I felt sorry for him, but that just goes to show that life isn't always rainbows and sunshines. How this guy's life and the digital worlds integrated into each other's existence is quite something to discover. Actually, that's one of the main things that kept me going within playing this game, just to see how it's going to end. And again, other than the jumping mechanic, this game is pretty awesome. I'm going to give this game an 8 out of 10. Narita Boy is now available for PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, Steam for Mac and PC, and also GOG for PC. Links to where you can get this game will be provided in the description below, so you can get a copy for yourself on any of these platforms. Until next time, be safe out there, and peace y'all.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit up that notification bell, and I gotta go.
Alright, I wasn't even going to include this part in the review because normally I just want my reviews to be somewhat spoiler free. But this is something that's noteworthy. So, spoiler warning. I am going to be talking about the ending somewhat, but don't worry, I'm going to give you time so you can head on out. You still here? Well, either you don't care or just like me you completed this game, so here we go. At the end of Narita Boy, something goes down what kinda leaves you on a cliffhanger. Now what's noteworthy is that on Studio Kuba's YouTube page, they dropped an awesome video showcasing a segment not seen in the main game, but rather hinted at. But if you played Narita Boy up until the ending, this can possibly lead into what you see in this video. If you go on Studio Kuba's YouTube page right now and find this video, you'll see that it was dropped on November the 21st, 2017, while Narita Boy came out in 2021, meaning this video came out 3 years before the main game. Personally, I've watched this video quite a number of times and I have my speculations. Was this content meant to be in the main game? Because it looks like it's already thought out and completed. I say this because of the polish within the animations and even how it switches the game genre from being a Metroidvania to a side-scroller beat-em-up that kinda reminds me of Mother Russia Bleeds, an awesome game that I reviewed some times back that you can check out for yourself. Shameless plug. My only guess is that maybe this will be a DLC, but I got the feeling that this is going to be a sequel and have its own full-fledged game. For me personally, it's just kind of mind-boggling that before we even got our hands on the main game, we probably was already looking at the sequel without us even knowing it. Either way, this just tells me that we could be getting more Narita Boy content in the near future, and that would never be a bad thing. But anyway, be safe out there. Peace y'all.